Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and yes, that is exactly as you see on your screen. We are talking about FROSMOTH. I am a man of my word. So FROSMOTH is actually in a very interesting spot today in the meta, and I'm doing this video for a couple of reasons. One, it did very well in the tournament recently, and two, because it did very well in the tournament recently, I promised I would talk about it. So where is this all coming from? First of all, there was a tournament, a pop-up X9 tour held yesterday by Joe, and if you look at the result over here, in second place we got Scubar here using FROSMOTH. Now we'll take a look quickly at the team list here, because I didn't expect FROSMOTH to be on a team like this. I mean, technically it makes a lot of sense, of course, but credit to them for constructing this, and a lot of this makes a lot of sense. And we're going to talk about this set, and as well as this Tera type electric was actually very smart. And if you want to just hear me talk about this part, we have the timestamp in the video, because this is a game changer for FROSMOTH. This Tera type electric. I'm going to explain what that is and what it does for it. But first, I want to start off in terms of a general sense. Like, what does FROSMOTH do? Like, what kind of tools does it have in general? What can it give you in the meta as far as like any counters specifically? But yeah, it actually does quite a bit. And I also want to go back to my tier list video for a second in the comment section for my guy Michael Cooper. I know he's been waiting for this. Michael almost 2 weeks ago on my tier list video said FROSMOTH is being slept on, and he is correct. And you know, I basically said, well, I don't think it does enough right now, and I want to see it do well in the tournament first. And it did, because now this is why we're talking about it. It's because it did well in the tournament. Now, granted, this is all I want to say. You know, the 2 weeks in a fresh game is a long time. You know, at the time, 2 weeks ago, I would say the meta just wasn't suited for FROSMOTH play. That's my opinion, right? But now, 2 weeks later, based on changes, you know, it's a new game. Meta changes basically every 2 days. All right. Yeah, now is the time for FROSMOTH to enter the fray, and we'll explain why it looks good right now versus why it wasn't so optimal 12 days ago. But now is the perfect time to try and use FROSMOTH. And what we're going to do first is we're going to look at its stats. We're going to look at what kind of moves it could provide, and then we'll look at how it did in terms of this tournament team, and then what it could do going forward. All right, so let's just go ahead and get on straight to it. All right, so let's look at FROSMOTH just from a back piece forward point of view, right? So FROSMOTH, the special attack is really good. 125 is actually very nice. Special defense also above average, very solid. 90 HP, a little bit lacking. Defense even worse. But that being said, remember we have this thing called Snow, where if you pair this next to Abomasnow, okay? Which wasn't done in the tournament team, by the way, but that's okay. But this is going forward. If this was paired with the Abomasnow, and if this was Aurora Veil, which of course it's going to be, then all of this defense all of a sudden it actually looks very nice. It's actually more than your special defense if you take that into account. But more on this later. But you know, in terms of like physical build, not so great, but special build, good. Special attack, very good. Speed tier, middling at best, right? It's like within that range of Tyranitar, Sylveon stuff, Skeleturge. You know, it outspeeds all those threats, by the way. So that's also something to consider. But as far as like what it can do for the meta stuff, it actually does quite a bit. And let's look at some of its movesets. So first of all, it gets Blizzard, really good in the Snow, of course, because it's 100% accurate. It also gets Aurora Veil, actually. I actually didn't know this, that it got Aurora Veil. But like, this is more for the Abomasnow stuff. So, you know, I probably wouldn't be putting Aurora Veil on FROSMOTH, but also gets Bug Buzz, so it's a stat bug move. You know, you can have that small chance to drop special defense, also interesting. Calm Mind, you don't need this because you have a better move, and that's Quiver Dance. So you're going to be able to, just like Volcarona, boost up your special attack, special defense, and speed, so you can outspeed certain threats. And, you know, you might say like, man, even after Quiver Dance, what are you still outspeeding? We're going to talk about that. But it does get access to Quiver Dance, so you can sacrifice some of your special attack and special defense bulk for a little bit more HP and defense bulk. But, you know, potential EVs we'll talk about a little bit later. As far as moving forward, it even gets access to dowsing. That's actually also interesting. But in terms of other movesets, it does get Tailwind, which is actually really cool. Just like Volcarona and Frostmoth, they both get Tailwind, and I think both of those moves are sleepers, and I think they can be utilized on certain teams very, very well. But it does get Tailwind, so you do have a good form of speed control. It is a slow Tailwind user, might I add, but nonetheless, it does get it. And if you keep going down the list, it also gets Wide Guard, which is actually really, really important as far as like a tech move, a defensive tech move, right? Because if you think of like Goldengos, you know, click and make it rain, Garchomp, Rock Slide, Tyranitar, Rock Slide, you know, Heat Waves from, you know, Terrifier, Hydreigons, Expanding Forces from Armarouges. You know, Wide Guard has a lot of use right now, and Frostmoth gets it. So you can really surprise your opponents, especially on the ladder, if you can tech this onto your Frostmoth. But in terms of like other offensive stuff, it's really just the ice move and the bug move. So stuff like Blizzard and Ice Beam, that's really what you're going to be going for. And if there's no Abomasnow, then obviously Ice Beam is the correct choice, which is what was on that tournament team. Bug Buzz, also really good. That's your hard-hitting stem move, but it also gets access to Struggle Bug. If I move down, yeah, there it is. So you can also drop special attack too if you really want. So this is a personal preference kind of thing, which is actually really nice. It also gets Miss. Miss could be an interesting tech, but I don't know how often that's going to be used. Does get Imprison and Infestation. I think these are like very niche moves. I don't think you can be going for that. Does get Feather Dance, but this is like better on stuff like Murkrow, where you have like priority prankster stuff. And that's pretty much it. That's all it can really do. So Quiver Dance, Tailwind, Wide Guard are the main tech support moves. And then, you know, from there you just either go like Ice Beam or Blizzard, or then you go like Struggle Bug or Bug Buzz, right? And it's very simple. Like that, it's a very easy mon to play. It's just like, where do you want to put it on a team, and can it do enough against a lot of things? Well, so again, now that we've talked about the stats and some of the move kits, what does it do against some of the meta threats? Well, let's look at Pikalytics here. So of course we have a Goldengo, which you're weak to because you have a Steel weakness. But if you look at the rest of the stuff, like imagine the Mercury Rain combination besides Goldengo: Murkrow, Garchomp, Hydreigon, Amoonguss. All right, 4 of the top 5 in usage, they all drop to Frostmoth. Why? Because they're weak to ice. Murkrow, Garchomp, Hydreigon, Amoonguss, all weak to ice. Blizzard, goodbye. Ice Beam, goodbye. Okay, so it has really, really good options here against these 4. And anytime you can do well against these 4, you've got a place in the meta. All right, and if I were to just keep growing down this list, of course, Armarouge is going to be something to be concerned with because, you know, it's a fire type, but there is a way around it. And again, in that tournament team, they have that Tera option, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. Meowscarada, again, drops to the bug move, drops to the ice move. Indeedee drops to the bug move. Okay, again, Arcanine, something else to consider. And then, you know, as you keep going down this list, you find yourself, okay, you know, I don't really do well against these guys, like Kingambit, Dondozo, Tyranitar, but they're doing something right now that's making them weak to Frostmoth. And again, we'll talk about that at a certain point in the video. Scarlet, again, same idea. All right, Kilowattrel, Tatsugiri. You know, all right, now we're just like getting into stuff where like, okay, you know, enough is enough. What else can Frostmoth do? So now if we go back here into the tournament team, now let's look at this. It's on a Trick Room team. It's got Farigiraf, it's got Kingambit, Sylveon, Amoonguss, Hariyama. Okay, so I understand the Farigiraf, Amoonguss stuff, right? You want to redirect, you want to set up this Trick Room potentially, and then maybe get the kill on the Amoonguss, and then bring in something like a Hariyama, a fighting type, right? So then Hariyama could potentially sweep under the Trick Room stuff. Cool. Same thing with like either Kingambit or Sylveon. These are both relatively slow mons that can also do well in the Trick Room stuff. So then like, where does the Frostmoth come into play? Well, if you look at this team by Scuba, well, I don't know if they actually did any of this stuff, you know, but they had the option if they did. You know, you could always do like Amoonguss Frostmoth, you know, redirect, you know, click Quiver Dance, start getting your boosts, and then, you know, if they don't kill it, then you keep going for Quiver Dances, get more boosts, all right, and then start going for Ice Beams or Tera Blasts, all right? So that's really, really cool. Okay, now in terms of like, you know, what does this do? Like, what kind of speed tier can I go for? You can like pretty much EV this to outspeed Garchomp. That's one thing. That's very important if you can do that. You know, but then like, what are you doing against like Goldengo stuff? And then like, why does this Tera Electric matter? All right, so now we're gonna talk about this this Tera option here. So let's take a look. All right, to understand why the Tera Electric was a good option here. Oh, my hair looks kind of weird with this headphone on at the moment. It's really early in the morning. But anyway, to understand why Tera Electric was a good option, we have to go back into the weaknesses of FROSMOTH and understand why it was a good choice. So this is on Cerebi website. And if you look at FROSMOTH's weaknesses, 4 times weak to fire, 4 times weak to rock, not very good at all, kind of scary, but it also has 4 times, it has a weakness to flying and it has a weakness to steel. All right, cool. So then why does the electric stuff matter? Well, who are the big steel types in the meta right now? You've got Scizor, you've got King Gambit, you've got even Corviknight to an extent. And then the most important one is Goldango, right? So the Goldango Make It Rain actually just rips through FROSMOTH like no tomorrow. Well, and then same thing with Scizor. Bullet Punch rips through it. Iron Head from King Gambit rips through it. Well, what happens if you go with Tera Electric? See now the electric Tera typing will resist those steel hits. Okay, first of all, you also have Wide Guard for Goldango Make It Rain. I just want to say that. But besides the point, so you can resist those steel moves now. What else does that happen? Now, flying type, okay? Things going for like Hurricane, Air Slashes, right? Now you resist those, okay? So that's another cool niche that you have going for it. And then at the same time, this 4 times rock weakness, if you go to Tera Electric, now it's just a neutral hit. And then the same thing with this fire move. It's just a neutral hit. So like Tera Electric actually makes a lot of sense. You resist 2 weaknesses now, and the other 2 weaknesses, they just become neutral hits. It makes a lot of sense. And then even then, Ice Scales, which I forgot to talk about, was, it's a really good ability where, any kind of special attack just gets halved. So you put this behind Aurora Veil, all right, FROSMOTH is kind of chilling. It's actually very bulky. And then the other thing is, this wasn't present 12 days ago at the time that Michael commented on the video, but nowadays, look what's going on with some of these steel types. They're going for Tera flying options, okay? Why is that important? Okay, think about it. Tyrannitars, the Tyranitar Lycanroc teams that are running around. What is the Tera for a Tyranitar? Tera flying, right? Because they don't want to take an Earthquake from Garchomp, okay? King Gambit, same idea. Look, he even has his own King Gambit as Tera flying. Why? Same reason. You don't want to take that ground move from Garchomp. What happens when you become Tera flying? If only I had an electric move to zap your Tyranitar and King Gambit with to just take them out. Oh wait, I do. I have Tera Blast. That becomes an electric move. So now your Tyrannitars and your King Gambits, which I was weak to originally, now I'm strong against. And now I have an even stronger place in the meta because I can zap those T-Tars, I can zap those King Gambits, and those are your big hitters on your teams. And if I remove them, then I'm in a very, very good spot. So Tera Electric not only is a defensive Tera type, but now becomes an offensive Tera type. And now FROSMOTH looks really, really good. And I expect this thing to rise a little bit more just because of this Tera type. So Scoobar, thumbs up from Cloverbells. You made a smart choice there. This is even beyond the Clover tech. This is a Scoobar tech, if that makes any sense. So, it's just like a very, very smart option. So now that you have this, what happens from here? So now you have to start thinking about, well, like, can I do something else with FROSMOTH besides a squad like this? Well, it does really well, I have to say. And then like Farigiraf, right? I also just want to say this, like the Armor Tail stuff, you can't even stop it. It's hard to stop this, right? Because you're getting up this trigger, so it's actually really, really cool. Same thing with Sylveon and Mungus here. Okay, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So where do we go from here? Can we put FROSMOTH on certain other cores and certain other teams where it can start to excel even more? Let's start to theorize a little bit. Okay, so I want to go back to this concept with like FROSMOTH and Abomasnow. Like, can you put the Abomasnow and FROSMOTH together? I think you can. It just gets a little tricky. Also, first of all, before I even like continue with this, I just also want to say, going back to this team, like the Hariyama also helps the Tera Electric here, because like when you're going up against the steel types where you have like you're about to click close combat into those steel types like Tyranitar or even like the King Gambit stuff, because you're forcing them to go Tera flying. This is why they go Tera flying. They want to resist that fighting move. All right, and then just go with a Tera Blast and KO you right back with their super effective flying move. because you forced them to go Tera flying with the Hariyama. Now the FROSMOTH Tera electric Tera Blast looks really good against them. So it's like a counter to their counter. All right, so I just want to say that. So that was actually really smart by Schoolboy. But anyway, back to this. So the issue, not really an issue, but like when you do this, like yes, you're getting like a defense boost, but like you're still kind of slow, right? So the advantage with like having Titan on a team with a Abomasnow was that you had Slush Rush, which gave you like a big speed boost. But like now, FROSMOTH doesn't have that speed boost. You have Ice Scales instead. So you get bulk, but you don't really get speed. Now you can get speed if you have Tailwind. You yourself can get Tailwind. But like you don't want to have like a turn one where like you have to click Tailwind and this thing has to click Aurora Veil. That's just a very passive turn where no damage is being dealt and you're just going to be dealt damage from 2 other slots. So I don't think that's the way to go about it. I think if you're going to go Tailwind on your squad with the Abomasnow FROSMOTH, it has to come from somewhere else. But you definitely can go a Quiver Dance set. You definitely can go a Blizzard set. You definitely can even go like a Struggle Bug or even like a Wide Guard set. I think these are very, very good moves here. And then Abomasnow, same thing. You can have like Aurora Veil, a very standard stuff with like Blizzard spam. You do get Blizzard spam. So unlike Titan, you do get access to your Blizzard spam. And then maybe something like Earth Power and then Protect. You know, stuff like this, or even Energy Ball for that matter. And then like, how else can you set up Quiver Dance? You can also go like Mouse Hold here. And then like the Mouse Hold Annihilate stuff also technically works. All right, for that matter. And since you're like kind of slow, you know, you can even do like the Trick Room stuff. You can even go like the Indie Armor Rouge core, where like you set up Trick Room, and then like you can redirect, set up Trick Room, you know, bring in Abomasnow, set up screens. Armor Rouge can chill behind screens, go for, you know, spread moves, and then in the end game, you can bring in the FROSMOTH behind those screens and start clicking like Blizzards and Struggle Bugs or Bug Buzzes, whichever one. You know, I think this makes a lot of sense. You could even do like a Dondozo Tatsugiri stuff where like you can set up screens with Abomasnow, and then like you could, here, if I just like remove these 2 for a second, you know, you could also do this, Dondozo Tatsugiri, right? You have this option where like you can do early game pressure with these 2, bring in Abomasnow, set up screens, and then FROSMOTH can come in the end game. You could do the reverse way, you know, do the snow route, you know, bring in Mouse Holds, maybe set up Quiver Dances, and then maybe these 2 can come in the back. You know, that's also another option. You know, it's very flexible in terms of like how you want to try and do this. But, you know, I'm just assuming like Abomasnow is like paired with the FROSMOTH here, right? Because on this team, there was no Abomasnow. It's just a little tricky, right? Because you don't have the speed, but you have the bulk in exchange, right? So you just have to keep that in mind when doing this. But you can get speed with Quiver Dance, right? This is what I'm saying. So if I had to like try and EV this, so let's like go to Modest here. What do you want? You kind of want like 114, right? For the Garchomp stuff, I believe 114 will outspeed the Chomp. So if I do 114 times 1.5, it'll get me to 171. So that'll outspeed the Chomp. And then from there, you can just like invest in special attack. You can do something like this, 116 Modest, right? Just put on a bunch of pressure and then like start investing in your bulk. You could just put like this much. So this way you have a nice even number. And then how much HP do you want? Maybe honestly like up to this much, right? So just get like, yeah, like something like this where you just have like enough speed to outspeed Garchomp. You know, you hit the second bump, the second benchmark in the Modest Nature, and then the rest just goes into like HP and defense. And then you could just like, again, with the screen set, your defense is actually a lot more than what it is. And then of course you always have the Quiver Dance to boost it even more. And don't forget, you have the Aurora Veil to be even more bulky. So you got a lot of bulk going for FROSMOTH here. You just have to like, you know, keep dealing damage over time, right? And this is a very standard spread. If I had to like come up with one, if I go like Timid, then the spread changes a little bit because then I don't need all this speed. I can invest a little bit more in my attack stat. But either way, so like this is just what I'm thinking in terms of like building. You can also go with like Meowscarada, technically somewhere here, and just like another Tailwind option. So like if I were to remove this, you can do like Meowscarada and then something like, you know, Hydreigon with Tailwind, Life Orb, by the way. All right, and then something like this where you can get speed control this way. I think this is another option, right? If you want to go like the speedy route. And I believe even here, oh, so yeah, they were actually going for a lot of damage, right? Because they have Life Orb here, and it's a Quiver Dance set, so they're gonna be doing a lot of damage. So even if you don't want to go like Life Orb here, you can put it on the Frostmoth and then just go with like another item over here. It could be a Assault Vest, but then you just don't get the Tailwind route, right? And then you could put Trick Room on this Meowscarada, you know, just to like flip those Tailwind turns upside their head. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways to construct this. Like, it's just like you have Frostmoth and Abomasnow, and then like where do you want to take the team? All right, so it just depends on you. But you have some options. But again, the whole idea with Frostmoth is, can you outspeed the Garchomp stuff? And the answer is yes. And this is a decent spread to try and do it. And then Abomasnow, you know, you could just sash this thing. You could put a Light Clay on this thing, you know, or a Berry to survive the Goldango stuff. But, you know, you have a lot of tools here. And it just it's a really good mon if you can just put it on like the correct team with like the correct moveset, because it can do a lot. You saw it, right? And again, if you want to go for that electric Tera, you definitely can. You just have to like put Tera Blast here somewhere, and then just forego the bug move. But bug move is actually really nice right now. It's actually okay. So yeah, that's it for now. You know, I just wanted to like show you guys that yeah, Frostmoth is actually legit. I think it could go and move forward a little bit. And you know, let me know what you think of Frostmoth. Let me know what you think of this team. All right, let me know what ideas you have for Frostmoth. But yeah, we'll be back in another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.